Okay, yes, please go ahead, Dan.
So in moods, I suppose maybe I could show my screen, but is it possible, like when you click on the different bars, right, and you get the uh, biomarker? But I was wondering if there's a way it would be for my talk. I'd like to have like a not a table because the biomarker would be underneath each one, but is there any way that I could do that without a lot of cut and pasting from screen shares? Or, yeah, screen captures.
Yeah. So in mood here,
Yes.
what you want is a list of everything under the graph, you mean?
Well, yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd like the biomarkers underneath
Yes, sure.
biomarkers.
Uh,
Yeah, underneath each one.
I think we will do something unified with what we did with the drives, where you have a list of biomarkers and the graph
Yeah.
stays on top like that. And I think it's a good ergonomy, and we should replicate it in every screen. So we should have the list here of small graphs. And when you scroll, you should keep the graph on top and get some information. And we have many pages that could be on the same system.
Yeah, so
Mm.
when you're going to well, at least for me, from my perspective, when I'm going to look, uh, where before it had to go, I mean, I still had to go through different modules, but it was, to click on them and when I'm comparing, but if it's easier to just look at them all at once,
Yeah,
in a row, and then because sometimes you find, oh, well, you know,
yeah.
the other
Mm.
thing is,
But it's exactly why we did this list. So
yeah,
we should do the same probably for the other pages with graphs. Mm. Okay, good idea.
and the other thing I'd like to say is on the settings,
Yes.
and settings for submit a ticket. Can you just go to that screen, please?
Yeah.
Okay, so now just type something. I don't care. There you go. Okay. Now on your side, okay, on this one right here,
Yeah.
it doesn't freeze. For my PC, it freezes for at 10 to 12 seconds.
Oh, okay.
That's what I keep submitting the bug on, right? I mean, I can bring up my screen and show you, but as long it's what it's doing is it's searching, and when it clicks to add a
Mm.
screenshot in that, right? For me, it'll click to send us your request and search, right? Both of those lines will be in the long bars, right? The click to action bars.
Okay, so what I do
And
is I will test on a Windows to see if there is something specific on Windows for that.
It's
yeah,
also doing it on Mac though.
Okay.
And I can't get to the screenshot thing to send you guys screenshots. It
yeah,
won't let
Okay.
I have a problem with that too. Sometimes it just closes. It
Okay, I'll
just
check that.
closes the setting out.
Yeah, and I mentioned this before as well on my iPhone. Sometimes, in order to get back off of a screen, the button's in the upper left corner and that comes off of my screen. So I have to close out of the app to go backwards sometimes.
Okay.
Unless I'm missing the button. If anyone else has that issue on a phone,
It might be
If-
because we have for iPhones we have to do a specific layout for every model, and maybe we did not register your specific model. So
Well, what about rotating it? I don't use my phone for that, but what about rotating it? Because sometimes I have to rotate
Yeah.
my Android phone to get to some of the markers. And if you rotate it, especially when I'm doing email and I want to access some of my other functions in Gmail, I have to rotate it so I can actually get those icons to show up.
That's usually happening when I'm on on the page where it has harmonic boost and everything with the contact. Or no,
okay, so on my side it's really quick, so there might be somewhere a problem.
Can
You
you
want
just
me to?
TJ? So what's going on?
like when I'm on a screen with looking at a chart, I forget which page it is actually, but I'm trying to like go backwards to go back to like I'm forgetting which screen it is now. The button is like up to the left or something to go backwards, and I can't, it's not accessible, so I can't go backwards.
Okay.
Like it's coming off of my screen. So I've noticed that a couple times where it doesn't line up.
So again, what I have to do with your case is check on your specific phone model and see if there is a layout problem for your phone.
Next time, I'll find that out and I'll send a ticket.
Okay. Mm.
I was with somebody, so I didn't want to like mess around and do that. I just closed out of the app and went back.
Yeah, if you send a ticket, please send the exact model of your phone so that I can check that. Mm.
So have we any new features today, Medric?
No,
No.
no, only bug corrections, and there will be a small release and again probably in the coming days for small bugs that have been reported recently. But then we have a big list of new features, but it will be for the summit. Mm.
Yes, which I've seen them, guys, and it's going to be a very interesting presentation.
You know what? You guys said you were having problems with the server, and because now I am in the settings to send I'm just doing the same thing you did to just typed ipsum lyrum type in there, and it's not hanging up. So the search feature is like it was going back and searching, not necessarily for the manual on my laptop. It might have just been server related.
Sorry, when you ask for help, you mean?
Yes.
Maybe I check that because now it's local, but the first time you do a search, it loads the whole FAQ, the whole questions. So maybe this is related to that. Hmm.
Well, I'm not getting this. I'm not getting the same response now, but I sent pictures with my, with the screen, with, screen capture to show whenever I see the send us your question and then, add us, submit. It's not doing that now,
Okay, I check that.
Dan,
but it was doing it last night because I sent you a couple tickets.
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Dan had a question yesterday about the chord. Would you like to ask that question again, Dan?
About the what? I'm sorry, Stephen.
The chord that's played. You said that it's changing.
No, it's not. What I'm doing is I'm creating a module that will extract the raw data and pull some of the frequencies out. I'm going to be looking mostly for true Elfie frequencies, and then I'm going to generate sigils, personalized sigils. They might turn into a glyph. A sigil is more of like an impromptu. It can be associated with a group or a thing. A glyph, which can also be associated with a group or a thing. A glyph has more information. And it's at the very least, it'll be something that I'll just put into the report. And, that way they can carry it with them. So it's something in their pocket, even if they can't, listen to their frequencies or if they look at it. That's why I was saying, changed. That's what I was speaking about chords. It's for that. I find it pretty disconcerting because when I'm talking and then I can see myself in the picture, it's like my lips aren't moving and then they move. It's like I don't know, it's almost like a broadcast TV where they have the 20-second delay.
That's your mirror delay.
Yeah, it's my delay.
Your mirror delay.
So
before.
So what was the question about chords?
No,
Dan.
Dan basically asked the question yesterday. He said that his chord changes from, let's say, E to F, you know.
That, I'm sorry, Stephen. Yes, yeah, it does. It changes. It's not, in other words, my underlying chord. Thank you, Stephen. I've been having this software on my mind. I've got one of my in-laws is,
You're just talking electrical chords.
Yeah.
and all kinds of chords.
Musical chords.
Yeah, like period harmony or,
And your question is why does it change?
yeah, why does it change? Where's my bass frequency? You know, the one that's like my thumbprint?
We don't really have that. Chords are more related to moods, in fact. So it changes according to your current state of mind. You probably have a bass chord, and if you measure yourself always in the same state, for instance, always meditating and measuring on something like that, you should probably get the same chord or the same bass musicals and so on. But that's why on chords we have put a lot of psychological interpretation, so because chords are more related to moods than to fingerprint.
So when the characters in the chords bar and the little column, right? Sometimes you have like stacked 3 or 4. And is that based on the cycles? Or in other words, I'm still working on this theory for, in my body, I have different structures in my body that are synced up to different times.
Yeah.
And could be times in my childhood or times in the future or times in the past. And depending on the energetic properties of the structure, that's, how it's synced to time, because, certain materials reflect time, certain materials absorb time, like quartz. They used to put quartz crystals on watches, and then they found out that the watch, it loses time. It's not accurate. It's not like so now they're polycarbonate instead of quartz because it affects time differently.
I'm sorry, I've lost you. How is that related to your question about chords?
The question is so with the tone, and you do it for cycles, right? And if there's a number in the upper right-hand corner, that's an Elfie. And I'm not saying that there are Elfies for tones, but music, sound is vibrations. So is it when it has 3 bars or those three, I don't know, notes, what you call them, it's got 3 black circles on the right or 3 open ones on top, E7, major 7.
You mean that part?
Yeah, that part.
Yeah, okay. So this is just a musical notation to say this is a, I don't know how you say that in English, half black. In French, we say une croche.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. How do you say that in English? Croche?
Def-
I don't know. So it's a half a time, This one is a black one, so it's a full time. This is a white one, so it's 2 times. And you might also have a round one, which is 4 times. It's just an evocation of the length of the analysis that is taken into account. Because all of these different scales and chords are computed on different length of the recording.
The cycle.
So what we take into account is the longest one we have to say, okay, this is your current bass harmony for the maximum time we have on the recording, and this is what we will use during the meditation. And again, if you are in E major, for instance, this should be the notation. If you are a musician, you should understand that. If you are not a musician, of course, it's just gibberish for you.
Oh, I see where you've got the.
Okay, so the most important one is the first one in this list. will give you the one that is computed on the longest period during your recording. So probably your most important bass note. And we don't have, of course, we don't have the information if it's NLP or not, because we are not working on specific frequencies or resonances with that. It's really a chromatic analysis of your
Yes.
of all the frequencies you have in your body. So it's a very different analysis from the other biomarkers. So we don't have the same information like attention, intention, and so on. What we can have is musical harmony. And musical harmony, I should in fact be able to show the biomarker that is linked to that. Maybe I will research if we have some because we have some biomarkers about music, and it would be a good thing to add them on this page. So I will see what we have, what could be interesting for you, and we can just add them as a list under the graph.
Well, because it's, a serenade of sweet reflection. So, I mean, there is an emotional outburst or synchronicity or help me out here, Jeff, with music, with chords, with tones,
This one,
So,
this text.
yeah.
Yeah.
How you define it. I mean, there's the E major seventh chord often involves feelings of warmth, tranquility, and nostalgia. Okay.
Okay, so this again, this is we are more on the side of the mood.
Yes.
Each different tone and each different chord has a different mood. And when you write music, sometimes you write a music in C major, for instance, and then when you start singing it, you don't change anything except you just shift it one tone or two, because it suits more on your voice, but also because when you play a music in C major or in D major or in E major, the mood will be different. It's all major. It's the same notes, but the mood will be slightly different. And this is what is reflected into these descriptions.
And that's how you would sync it up to, happy, sad, safety, right? I mean, that's how I'm syncing it up.
And also, major is probably the most basic things is major is happy and minor is sad. But when you add some seventh, if it's a seventh major or minor, it will add some drama on top of it. It's more jazzy. So more jazzy, it's more ambiguous. So for instance, on a short term, we are on a broad C major, so it's joyful triumph. There is no nostalgia. There is no jazz items or blues item, that would put you a little bit on the foot to you don't know where to go. When you add a seventh, it gives a little bit more something a bit more mysterious. So that's why these texts are going more about on the reflection point, for instance.
Yes, it doesn't finish. It finishes off almost in disharmony. Not that it's out of scale, but it almost finishes off with disharmony.
Yes, it adds something. When you finish a music, you usually end up on the bass chord with a plain chord, so either major or minor. But if you add a seventh, you have this feeling that the music is not finished and something else is to do. So this is what I wanted to transpose from what we record into your being and what we can compute that your main chord currently is and how we can interpret it on a mood perspective.
But that's kind of how the logarithms, it's part of it, the analysis is great. I mean, thank you for that. But that disharmony is, and I'm saying disharmony, that mean I'm not a sound engineer and I'm definitely not a musician, but, that's in the process. I mean, that's really what BioCoherence is singing back, not a major seventh always, but it's singing back to that.
And it's and so the idea is to take you where you are right now and start this meditation where you are and take you as you are and just gently guide you towards something inside you. So you have to be really attuned to how you are inside right at this moment. And that's why this chord can change from session to session. And usually when you do a reevaluation, the chord will change for your meditation.
It always changes, yes.
Yeah, and it's on purpose, because the purpose of that is to take you as gently as possible in your current state, and to put you in resonance with your own body. We spend so little time reflecting with our body in our society. We are a lot in our mind. And when you meditate, you can say, oh, I will be even more in my mind because I'm just meditating, so I'm forgetting my body. But what we do with BioCoherence is quite the opposite. We want to create a strong bridge between your mind and your body, and to create a unity with all that, and which is more on the mindfulness side of things. When you will reflect on how is your body, and that's what we do in the personal guide. We just guide people deep inside themselves and at the different points where they need to focus their attention and energy. And usually, when you start doing that, the body will take care of itself and will take every possible external help it gets to heal and to get better. So that's what we want to do, and that is why we want to make your whole being resonate with your deepest core.
And the harmonic boost is fabulous for that, but the 21-day guide is when you break, when the tone breaks or the meditation changes, the pause. Well, it's good. I mean, in according to Dan Winter or Flame in Mind, it shifts 180 degrees, right? So that your brain has to go, oh, you're listening to it through your ears. You have to, so it's not the same thing, right? It shifts so that it becomes new each time. And
You mean the frequencies?
That's what I see in the harmonies.
Yeah. TJ, you have a question?
Thank you,
No.
everyone. I don't mean to take up all of the time of this recording.
TJ, you had a question?
So I think we've mentioned this before, but I wanted to see what you have to say about this, Medrick, because a question that I get a lot is when I get people to do a scan, and now that you're talking this way, and I think this is kind of revealing on people too, but a lot of times, even though people are coming with an issue, and if that's exasperated in the moment, they feel like they're not in a place to do a scan. Which I say, well, if there's something wrong and you want help with this issue right now, you should do a scan at this point. But I guess what my question is, if you could speak to, is what is the best way and most efficient way to give somebody a scan? Like now that you're talking about the moods here, would it be better to like get the person into a relaxed state, or like kind of like how Gurdjieff, in some of his work, he would like stress people out before he works with them because you're kind of in a space where you're not holding, or if you are holding and you're in a defense mechanism, you're working through that. So yeah, that has come up quite a bit with people in doing scans. So I wanted to know what you would say, because I then have to talk them into like, well, if you're not doing it, maybe you should do it now, so it addresses that, and then maybe do one otherwise when you are feeling good and see what the difference is. So what do you think is the best way in order to scan people?
So to be clear, you have people coming with issues and they don't want to do a scan because they have issues?
Well, I've had people be like, oh, I'm having a bad day, maybe I don't want to come in and do a scan today. You know what I'm saying? Thinking that their reading is going to be worse or something to that.
Yes,
And that's come up.
it's also why we do some reevaluations, because on the long run, you will just get a big view of how you are moving. And of course, the first scan is important because the first scan is the one that will determine your priorities for the month, so for the 21 days. But honestly, I'm not sure these priorities would be so much influenced by this kind of changing moods in the beginning. And I would say if you feel you are in need of help and you don't want to do the scan to get this help, it's a mistake, of course. So if you feel ill, just do the scan and see what happens. And then if you want to add some specifics, of course, you can go and edit the priorities or add a complete basic program on top of that to address some specific concerns that maybe will not show directly in the priorities. But doing a scan really is like 2 minutes. So it shouldn't be such a burden. Mm.
Or maybe in the same session to do a subsequent, maybe run a scan and go through with him and show him, and then maybe do a scan after that and see if there's a difference.
Sure.
How I explain it, so let me know if I'm on point on this, is what I tell him is that there's a reading that occurs on the surface, which is more on your moods, but then there's that underlying depth, which is not going to change with your mood, and that's addressing deeper parts of yourself that is more like a long-term thing rather than the moment. So you'd agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. And the basics of your constitution, which comes into meridians and doshas and subdoshas and so on, would be pretty consistent across all your.
Those aren't going to change on your mood.
No,
right?
no, it won't change that fast. Some things will change faster, like your aura, for instance, that you can see in chakras. That might change much faster, but your base constitution, which is meridians, won't change that fast. So you will always have the same kind of repartition, except when you are in a acute situation where something could be absolutely off, but in that case, it's very good to measure it and to get some proper answers about it. What just about the sorry?
You said that the Briggs-Meyer chart is dependent on what you're thinking about. So that's something that's more in the moment?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Every test that we did with the personality, so MBTI, was pretty consistent, and you could probably move between two adjacent cells in one side or another side according to your current mood or your current focus. But you will not probably change entirely from quadrants, you know. So yes, of course, if people come and do a scan and are totally out of their current mind, there are some screens particularly on the mind side, that you should maybe not focus too much on and just stick to the basics. And the basics would be the meridians and the global organ priorities. Just about the measure, what I would say is if people do a scan for 2 minutes, they just have to stay calm for 2 minutes and just keep the sensor without moving and speaking and so on, because it's quite sensitive to movement. And I would say that's the only thing you have to pay attention about during the recording. If you have a very chatty person, for instance, and they start recording and they move all the time, it will just mess up with your recording, and it will do a 4-minute recording instead of 2 minutes, because there will be a lot of discarded bits because of our quality control. One of the difficulties we had in the beginning with BioCoherence is that other ECG systems rely on the practitioner to clean the recording, which is really a big problem, because you do a 5-minute recording and then you spend 15 minutes checking that every beat is good in the recording, and you have to remove this part, and this part is probably oh, she spoke at this time and the wave is all out of the place and so on. And I didn't want something where the practitioner had to do everything by hand. And it was one of the big challenges of BioCoherence, was to implement an algorithm to clean up automatically the input, which was far from easy, I can tell you. And now I don't think any of you ever got to the biomarker part where you can discard or redo any beats. You know, I will show it to you, but I'm sure you never went there because it's not really necessary. But if you need, you can go to beats and you can go to pulse wave, and there you can just scroll it. And if you want to remove this one because it doesn't look good, you just click on it, you know. And when you click on it and it becomes red, it means that you will remove it from your analysis. So you can just scroll everything, but everything that is in red has been automatically removed by our algorithm, because someone spoke probably at this moment. So it made some out of range data that we don't want to process. But
That's
all,
what I had to do
all
with
these one
the-
are good, and so on and so on. But if you really want to be very thorough in your check, you can just go quickly like that. And if you see anything that doesn't seem to be good, you just click on it and you remove it. Okay, and it will recompute the biomarkers without taking this part into account. So every red part here is a part that will be discarded for our analysis.
That's good. That's
Okay.
helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, and it was quite complicated to adjust precisely this algorithm, but now so it was probably refined during 1 year just for this part
Yeah,
because
that's awesome.
yeah, and now it's working really good. But the trade-off with that is, of course, if people move a lot and we lose a lot of bits, as we need at least a little bit than 100 bits, like 128 bits to have a proper analysis on the long term. Of course, if every other bit is discarded because people are moving, it will take twice the time.
Okay, so as we're thank you. That's helpful. So as we're creating a protocol for doing our scans, the important things are to be hydrated and to make sure it's moist, to not move, and to still and not to talk. Is there anything else that we should be telling people during their scan?
I think it's the basics. It's a technological scan, and I've tried to make it as simple as possible. But it's still an ECG, even if it's a mini ECG, not in a medical setup and so on. But you want to make everything working technically as good as possible. And for that, yes, hydration, moisturizing the thumbs is important. Of course, using both hands so that you can measure the whole body electricity, because we all rely on it. Usually not moving too much and not speaking, and just focusing, just making, leaving your body speak for you for 2 minutes. You can say that to your clients. You can say, okay, now we are listening to what your body has to say, so don't speak, just let your body speak through your recording.
So I
one
like
thing-
that. It goes with your branded philosophy too, in the body. Let the body speak. Because I try and keep them relaxed, but then also like mildly entertained.
Yeah.
So their minds don't go, because I think Kat put in the box too. People do tend to get a little nervous that they're being scanned, like, oh, you're looking into my soul or whatever. So I do try and smooth that out, but that's nice. Let your body speak, and maybe just to like guide them through breath or something, or tell them to breathe.
Yeah. You can put a light music. You can put anything that will just help your client focus for 2 minutes. And most people can just stay calm for 2 minutes, but sometimes you have someone who can be very agitated, and it's more challenging. But
I feel like people are more trying to do something to perform for the scan, so that's like a little bit of how I try to just get them to relax. You know what I'm saying?
yes, but when you say to people, okay, you must stay calm for 2 minutes and not move, and I will just do a recording, people can do it. It's just a setup to get some proper information, and then you can have a lively discussion for 1 hour, of course. One of the things that I already spoke about, and hopefully we'll be able to show it at the summit, is a new way of scanning with some real-time art, and it's kind of fascinating to see art moving according to what we are measuring into your vitals through the ECG, and that maybe should address your question, because instead of looking at the scan, seemingly doing some technical things, and people saying every 10 seconds, oh, it's scanning my meridians or something like that, and it just pops some new questions in their head, and they want to speak, and they want to engage, and they become excited, or I don't know what. It would be something much more calm and meditative on screen, which...
Yeah. That's what I've been doing, is showing people my phone and that screen that you have going on there.
Yeah.
And then I kind of softly explain to them that this isn't like real time because it's measuring everything at once. But these are some of the things as the biomarkers, and it kind of educates them of what it's looking at. But I explain to, and that seems to keep them calm.
Okay.
So
fine.
that's a good idea. If you could, not to put more on your plate, but that would be a nice feature, just to acknowledge that when that's happening, to engage that person into optimizing the scan function might be a good glyph. But right now, that's what I've been doing, is just showing them the screen that you built.
Yeah, yeah.
While it scans.
And these new screens would be much more meditative and something much calmer, but that would somehow reflect your internal state, and it would be you would have a choice which screen you want to use, but for certain type of people, it might be maybe the solution for your problem to just stay calm for 2 minutes and
stress screen.
Henrik,
yes.
that's Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Can I go for that?
Yeah, sure.
Quick question. Is it possible to create a biomarker for RNA?
mRNA?
Yeah.
RNA, mRNA, yeah,
No, the stuff which is in the
vaccines.
corona vaccine.
Okay. So we have a lot of this information now in the stimuli. One of the new things that you will see at the also it's also be really ready for the summit. We are adding maybe 1,000 new stimuli based on a lot of things, including drugs, vaccines, parasites, bacteria, viruses, and so on. So we will have a lot of this information now encoded into stimuli. Your question, of course, is measuring it, because stimuli are not made to be measured. They are made to be correcting things. So for stimuli, we don't have a direct measurement of it.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. I understand your question, so I'm rephrasing it. Just as a refresher, we have two kind of information in the app. We have the structures, and the structures we can measure because we can get this information out of the ECG. And then we have the stimuli. And the stimuli, we now have something like 4,000 stimuli in the latest database that you will get in the next version. And these one are not directly measured, but are only meant to bring corrections to your structures. So you embed the stimuli on top of your structures.
Yeah.
And but you don't have a direct reading from it. So I'm working on getting a more accurate information to get a direct reading on stimuli. But right now we don't have this direct reading. But in the stimuli, we have this information about, for instance, the COVID-19 vaccine, which is, the COVID-19 virus, sorry. We don't have direct information of the vaccine is the spike RNA, if I'm not mistaken. So we could get probably this information. What you can do is use the tests, the live tests that will play the stimuli frequencies and see how your body reacts to it. So that might be a solution for you. And with the test, you get a thumb up or a thumb down or a thumb up down.
Okay.
And currently, it's the only way to directly test a stimuli without testing a structure. So that might be an answer for you.
Thank you.
Then I don't think we have the direct mRNA structure for the COVID-19 vaccine. So I can tell you for this particular one, but as soon as this structure is published, we work with, I don't remember the name, but there are databases of all the molecules on internet, And so this kind of molecule, of course, is very well known. So as soon as we have the database, we have some specific formulae to compute the chemical structure and to get some resonant frequencies out of it. And when we have those resonant frequencies, we can create a specific stimulus. And with this stimulus, we can do a test, or we can embed it on any structure to bring a correction to it.
Yeah, my idea was to put it below. I mean, there's this bacteria, virus, bacteria, virus, and so below a mold,
Yeah.
just RNA, and then one thing that we can measure.
Yes, but it's
So-
not one thing. RNA is just a medium. What's important is not RNA. What's important is what is the proteins that are mediated by this RNA. Because what the COVID-19 RNA vaccine does, it's encoding as RNA the structure of the spike protein. And RNA is so you have DNA inside you. This DNA is transcribed into RNA, which is a temporary structure that is then used by your cells to build proteins. Okay, and so the hack with the vaccine was to bring you directly this RNA that encodes the spike protein to teach your cells to build this spike protein from the data that is encoded into the RNA. And then the theory is that your body will be flooded with these spike proteins, and your immune system will recognize that as a threat and learn how to fight it, so that when you are in contact with the real COVID, your immune system is already informed of this spike protein structure and can work against it. So I'm just saying that to say that the RNA by itself is not the problem. The real question is what it is encoding. And what it is encoding, we can get it from these chemical protein structures databases. So if we add something about this RNA, we would not add the RNA by itself. We would add the spike protein, because
I may make it in a different way. Some people are not vaccinated like me, but they can get the stuff by inhaling it. So the question is not whether someone has it in the body, but the question is whether it's in my body and whether I can measure it. I mean, it's a different attitude than.
Yes, but what you would.
That was the idea behind it,
Yeah, the idea is that what is important for your body is the actual protein. And so this protein, we can have the structure, and if we have the structure, we can compute with our algorithm, we can compute some specific resonant frequencies, and we can do a stimulus with it. So we should be able to have a stimulus that would be linked to the COVID-19 spike protein, for instance, and that would be in fact quite easy because we have the whole pipeline to do it. So what I can write is to add the COVID-19 spike protein as a new stimulus, and that would probably answer your question.
Yeah, thank you.
So it would be a serenade. You'd be serenading the cells, right? So to speak.
Yes, what we do with the stimuli. So let me explain again the system. So we have, on one hand, we have these structures, which are the physical structures in your energetic field, your body, or your mind. So I would say they are physical structures, even in your mind, because they are your energetic field is creating structures, whether made from atoms or made from electromagnetic standing waves or things like that. You have these structures, and these structures have some specific resonance frequencies. Okay, so let's say you are speaking about the structure of the liver, which is a very, very big structure made of millions or billions of smaller substructures, So you have the liver, and then you have a substructure which might be the liver ducts and the liver cells and so on, which all are substructures. And then you can go down up to the molecules and atoms and some molecules are specific to the liver, and so on. So all of this structure, because it's a resonance structure, it has some specific resonance frequencies. So this is what we call structures. On another side, we have what we call a stimulus, and each stimulus has some specific frequencies to address problems into these structures. Okay, so it's like my structure is a guitar. Okay, and the correction would be to retune the guitar, and so the stimuli would be something that would help each string of the guitar getting in the correct tone, you know? So your structure is somehow out of tone because of an external input. So a parasite, a virus, a mood, some burdens you have on you, and so on. So for each of the structures, you can have things that would just disrupt their normal behavior. And all of the thing with the stimuli is to find the proper ones that could help this structure go back to its normal and optimal functioning state somehow. So these structures can be measured into your electrical body through the sensor. The stimuli would be added by you as a pro to help each of these structures go back into the optimal shape. And for this stimuli, we can have a lot of, we can have infinite information because we can compute every possible molecule or protein, for instance, as specific frequencies. And what happens, so say you want to work on the liver and you find that you have some specific burdens that are linked to I don't know, a gene deficiency or an external parasite like the COVID-19 spike, or I don't know what, well, you will feed this specific stimuli on top of the liver structure, which means that when we play these frequencies with BioCoherence, we will play the liver structure frequencies, and on top of it, at the same time, we will play the specific corrective frequencies that come from the stimuli. So these frequencies will be driven directly to your liver. So it's like targeting your liver and helping your liver recognize these frequencies that are somehow impeding it to work perfectly. And that's somehow how it works. Just tuning back your liver to the optimal state by targeting, by adding some more information that could help it work back as usual. So when you do a scan and you don't add any stimulus, you just work on the structures. And that's the basic you can do with BioCoherence, which is already huge, you know? You can just send back the structure of a functional liver, and it will help the liver tune again on its base frequencies and work again. But if you add stimuli on top of that, and only specialists, only pros can do that, if you add some stimuli on top of that, you can actually direct it to enhance some functionalities or get rid of some parasites or things like that. So you can be very specific in your work and get a much better result, probably. But of course, the difficulty is that we will now have 4,000 stimuli. So it's a good thing to add a lot of stimuli, but it's an ever better thing to be able to find the correct one. So we are back to your question, Michael. How do we measure what stimulus we need or not, or we are impacted or not? And we are working on it to get some.
Could I make a comment, which
Yes, sure.
I've just now noticed in some of the, you know, when you get the information, you click on it, the little question mark, then you get the bar, and then you click on it. Well, the subheadings I have found, I have started to see hot or heat, cold. You know, I've started to see some of those monikers, some of that identification, especially, you know, if you're working with Ayurvedics or something in doshas, where I have asked before for hot, cold, wet, and dry, because, you know, that's another way of defining whatever it is you're looking at, especially with Ayurvedics or traditional Chinese medicine, because when you look at the traditional Chinese medicine, it well, just you have to click on a biomarker, and then you know, right? Okay, so yeah, in there, actually, I've had certain ones where you go to screens and you pull up chain of, you know, the chain, causal chain. It doesn't really bring up anything. Well, it's brought this up, but you know, on some of them, I don't know why, because maybe it's because they're
I don't see where we have this hot or cold information. So maybe in some specific biomarkers description.
well, it's in the traditional Chinese medicine. When you use an AI helper, I meant causal chain. When you use an AI helper,
Ah, okay, yes, yeah.
will express heat, or you know, in that you know, but sometimes you can see that information by just clicking on it, you know, but it will apply.
Okay, so maybe if you go to an AI helper and you start asking them, they can give you this kind of information. That's true.
Yes. But you know, the other thing I'd like to say, this is like addressing with TJ for his complaints about people, and you know, I always try to soften them up. You know, if people sit there and you know, they've got their arms and they're holding it out on their chest and they're breathing and stuff, right? That transfers, that energy transfers into the skin. And then also when you are doing a scan and you've got the stop button, and just next to that, you've got that separate screen that changes when it's either quality, you know, it changes that screen. It's got the little alarm clock below it. What does that alarm clock do?
When you are recording?
Hmm?
When you during your recording?
Trying to optimize function, though. I'm not complaining, but trying to.
Well, no, I didn't think he was complaining.
Oh, when you said complain, that's all. It's all good.
Well, I mean, yeah, well, it's it is a complaining, and what I meant complaining is people, my clients do that too, you know, or people that I'm testing. And it's like, well, the one thing
I think him building a screen that occupies the people is genius, and that's going to be great. Just people have a lot of questions. You know, they don't know what to do, and then they second guess themselves. So you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's true that the recording screen should be for the practitioner and not especially to show to the user why it's recording. But we've made it very sexy with all the screens so that it creates some interrogations, so to say. But maybe it was too much. I don't know. So yes.
I mean, I did say TJ, and I did say complaining, but I meant TJ's client. So the thing is what I've done is you're talking through it, and BioCoherence software is a mirror. And I've got a mirror, you know, and if at all possible, I say, you know, like TJ's comment was, well, you're looking into my soul. And I get them to stand up and look in the mirror and look into their eyes. I say, yeah, look into your soul, because that's what the software's bringing out for you. You know,
yeah, it is very revealing what the people are bringing when they're doing that, and because I'm well versed, you know, with my modalities and having clients for 20 years and everything, but I'm also trying to make this able to hand it off to somebody else who wants to do a scan, or people when it's in the hands of the users. So we're trying to like get a nice protocol so anybody can do that. You know, because I need to like smooth people out and stuff like that, but you know what I mean? We want to be able to hand this off to the average person where anybody can do a scan and be accurate, and you don't need a babysitter. So that's why I brought that up.
Yeah.
Just to
and it's a big challenge, because of course it's probably the most advanced scanner ever done, and I want it to be able to be used by anybody. So it's we are really doing something very, very, very large, you know.
yes,
well, we need to turn the scanner into like the tricorders, so it's not just picking up electricity, it's picking up the DNA resonant field, right?
Yeah, we are picking so much information.
pyramid hat or something to wear.
Pyramid hat or you know, fire crystal. And just point the fire crystal at the laptop. The BioCoherence is on, right? Say, okay, here, hold on to this and point it at the laptop.
This fancy jacket and this pyramid hat.
Or a haptic style jacket, Medric, like a haptic, a vest you can wear, right? So, you
A
know,
wizard cloak.
like servos, right? Make them like servos, the little haptic motors, right? They vibrate. We'll make them like servos. So they've got an induction side, to pick up the field. Anyway, I digress.
I mean, would it be just with like the clothes and everything and the fabrics and how they affect people? Maybe it would be best just to have people do the scans naked.
I will not say that you have to put people naked to do the scan. No, TJ, I can't say that.
I'm not going there, Paige. No.
Well, I get this.
Okay, so probably we should stop recording because it's going haywire.
Well, no, this is important. I get this question off and on. It says, well, how can you help me? Can you explain to me why I'm always mad? And I said, well, I don't know if the software can explain it, but maybe we can pick up the biomarkers to see what it is. And then that's why I was hoping to be able, that's why I keep bringing up time, because if the cycle is longer, when you brought it up, like if it's only 6 times or 5 times or 2 times a minute, right? That's a really long-term count, right? So I was hoping to be able to isolate that as a depth, like a depth finder.
So you are
Right.
taking the
Yeah.
main cycle and so it says, for instance, this one is rotating every 6.4 seconds, which makes
Yeah.
9 rotations per minute.
Yeah. So, it's like it's like the old I always go back to this destructive, but it's like the old World War II, the depth finders, right? And then they just threw depth charges overboard, right? So I also kind of equate it to arsenic and homeopathy. Arsenic, why would you take a poison? I don't care, even if it's just the frequency. Why would you take a poison? Because you're applying a depth charge to a blockage somewhere so you can get the dam to open up, right? I mean, it's kind of, it's as above, so below, I mean, it's just the frequency. So that's why and then if you combine that, well, there's different thermal layers in the ocean, with, sound frequencies, right? So now you've got layers that are hotter and colder. Obviously, in the water, they're not going to be wet, or well, they'll be wet. Maybe they won't be dry, but maybe the frequency is dry. I mean, that's just another way of looking at how to tie this together. Just it's the software's so powerful. I know it can do it. It's just get Medric's brain stretch that far. Pick it up.
Okay, no, just what you said made me think of something I wanted to say. When you have people with deep psychological problems coming, and it's what you started with, Dan, in your intervention, that made me think of the difference between the harmonic boost and the personal guide. And most people will be very happy to do only the harmonic boost because they are not keen to meditating, or they don't want to take time for them for healing and so on. And they would just play the harmonic boost, and testimonies shows that it works very well. So it's fine for most people. But I would say when people come with deep psychological problems, you should really insist on doing the personal guide, because these kind of problems are really, really well addressed in this meditative settings. Not just with audio frequencies and doing something else that could very well address your energetic or physical problems. But I think if you really want to tackle your psychological issues, you should really, you as a therapist, insist on doing the personal guide. And also because it's a commitment. for your client, you know, and your client would just sit with themselves for half an hour or 1 hour a day in the evening at a calm moment and do some work on themselves and be guided, be gently guided. And it's not a big commitment. It's just like looking at a good series that will change every day and bring some new elements to the narrative arc, you know. So yes, just done. What I wanted to say is with psychological problems, do the personal guide, and I think you will notice some dramatic differences. Mm.
I agree. Thank you for that. It's just getting them, like, I always bring up Boost and personal guide. I mean, you know, show them the power, and here is really what you're going for,
Yeah.
right? And you know, once they get over when the woman's like, well, I don't have male parts. Why is that on the screen? I said, it just, you know, it's anyway. I you know, kind of laugh, but you know, when they come for angry issues, or you know, they're really concerned about eating, overeating or something, you know, and that's I always, like I said, the personal guide is very powerful, and I always try to get them to do that. It's just breaking that into them, and that's the hard part. I mean, that's why I always start off now. I've been starting off with, well, let's look in the mirror. You know, really
Yeah.
be focused. Look in the mirror, because biocoherence is just a mirror. It's just your body is singing to it. You know, it. Anyway. It's when I make the comments about how I'm suggesting help them, you know, that's the part that I have to get over, because that's when they say, well, you're looking into my soul. Well, that's why the mirror comes up. I said, stand in front of the mirror, or hold up the mirror. I can go get the mirror. It's just a little round mirror. And, you know, look into your eyes, because really you know, set the intention.
Mm.
Right. And then sometimes they relax. They still got to get over the male or female parts. But if you change the screen, that won't be a problem anymore, because they're thinking, well, why is all this stuff in the background? It's like, well, that's
Is it what during the scan?
yes, that's where that
It should
information
not
is.
it should not show during the scan. So if it does, it's a bug.
It shows all the different backgrounds, is what I'm saying, how it
Okay.
rotates through the backgrounds.
When it rotates the backgrounds during the scan, female parts and male parts will pop up.
Okay, so it's a bug. It was filtered at one point, so maybe it's not properly filtered anyway.
Yeah, because the screen
Not-
should already have the information that says whether it's man or woman.
Yeah, it should not show. So sometimes it's broke. It's somewhere it has broken, so it should not show. No, it's a bug.
What I'm saying, but your screen is just general when you're doing a scan.
Yes,
right?
but nonetheless, I remember having filtered it. So somehow it doesn't work anymore. But at one point it was filtered. Yeah.
That is happening. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Good catch.
I was finding that when I run it on a male, it shows female organs, and when I've ran it on females, it shows male organs, and that was pretty funny.
If it's the case, it's very simple. So it's filtered, but it just reversed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's bringing out closet artifacts for the
Okay, so you know what? Technically,
closet.
Technically, it looks like a typo. Like I'm testing the if it's male or female, and we are just doing the opposite. So if it's the case, it's very easy to fix. Okay, maybe we'll stop here. Any other question for today? Or?